In just 48 hours, the United States military burned through $5.6 billion in weapons. Not over a month, not over a year, 48 hours. That's more than the GDP of some entire countries. Gone in the opening salvos of Operation Epic Fury. And here's the thing nobody's talking about. Congress hasn't authorized a single dollar of it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. If you've been following the US-Israel war on Iran, you already know things have escalated fast. But today we're not talking about the missiles or the battlefield updates. Today we're talking about money. Because behind every explosion you're seeing on your timeline, behind every Tomahawk cruise missile lighting up the Tehran skyline, there is a financial clock ticking, and that clock is running at $1.43 billion a day. By the time you finish watching this video, America will have spent roughly another $1 million on this war. Let's break it all down. Where the money is going, what it means for you as a taxpayer, and what happens if this thing drags on. Let's start with the raw numbers because they are genuinely staggering. According to 3 US officials who spoke to the Washington Post, the Pentagon burned through $5.6 billion worth of munitions in just the first 2 days of the war. 5.6 billion. For context, that's more than the United States spent per month during the entire Iraq War at its peak. The Iraq War, which lasted over a decade. Iran, 2 days. Now, a bipartisan think tank called CSIS, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, ran their own independent analysis. They came up with a slightly lower figure, $3.7 billion in the first 100 hours. That works out to about $891 million per day. Even by the conservative estimate, America is spending nearly $1 billion every single day. Republicans on Capitol Hill? They're privately terrified the number is actually closer to $2 billion a day. So where is all that money going? Here's the breakdown. First, the missiles. The US fired an estimated 400 Tomahawk cruise missiles in the opening phase of the war. Each one cost $2.2 million. Do the math. That's $880 million in Tomahawks alone. Then you have the advanced air defense interceptors. The missiles America is firing to shoot down Iranian drones and rockets. Some of those cost millions of dollars per shot. Every single Iranian drone that gets taken down costs America potentially more than the drone itself cost Iran to build. Iran's drones? Cheap. America's interceptors? Extremely expensive. Second, the aircraft. The US is flying F-35s, F-15s, B-2 stealth bombers. An F-15 fighter jet costs $117 million per aircraft. Operating costs alone run tens of thousands of dollars per hour just to keep them in the air. 3 US fighter jets have already been shot down, reportedly by friendly fire. That's an estimated $351 million in aircraft. Gone. Third, the buildup. Before the war even started, the US spent an estimated $630 million pre-positioning forces across the Middle East. Carrier strike groups, troop deployments, logistics, all of it adding up before a single missile was fired. And here's what makes this truly alarming. According to CSIS, of the $3.7 billion spent in the first 100 hours, $3.5 billion of it was completely unbudgeted. That means Congress had no plan for this money, no authorization, no appropriation. It's being spent anyway. Now here's the part that keeps military analysts up at night. America is running low on its most advanced weapons. Before this war even started, Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane warned President Trump that a prolonged conflict with Iran could dangerously deplete America's stockpiles of precision weaponry. Those stockpiles were already weakened after years of military aid sent to Ukraine and operations across at least 7 other countries simultaneously. Think about what that means. The most powerful military on Earth potentially running short on its best weapons in the middle of an active war. That's why you've already seen the Pentagon shift tactics. In the opening days, America was firing Tomahawks, the gold standard of precision strike weapons, at $2.2 million per shot. Now the military is transitioning to laser-guided bombs and JDAM kits, GPS guidance systems bolted onto regular bombs. Cost per strike? As low as $100,000. So the good news is, the daily cost should come down as the war continues. The bad news is, The reason it needs to come down is because America literally cannot sustain that opening pace. Meanwhile, Trump has reportedly met with defense contractors and announced they've agreed to quadruple weapons production. But here's the problem. You can't build a Tomahawk missile overnight. Production timelines are measured in months and years, not days. So what's happening in Washington right now? House Speaker Mike Johnson has told Politico he expects the Pentagon to formally request emergency supplemental funding from Congress. Reuters is reporting that request could be as large as $50 billion. $50 billion in emergency war funding for a war that Congress never voted on. Democrats are furious. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries put it bluntly. Trump is plunging America into another endless conflict in the Middle East, spending billions of dollars to bomb Iran, but they can't find a dime to make it more affordable for the American people to go see a doctor. And it's not just Democrats who are nervous. Republican members of Congress are privately raising alarms too, worried about the deficit, worried about the debt, and worried about what happens if this war lasts longer than Trump is promising. Because Trump is out here calling this a short-term excursion that's going to be finished pretty quickly. But his own Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, said just today that the U.S. will not end the war until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated, and that it will happen on the U.S.'s own timeline. Those two statements are not the same statement. Let's zoom out and look at where this is all heading financially. The Penn-Wharton budget model, one of the most respected economic forecasting institutions in the country, estimates the direct military cost of this war at somewhere between $40 billion and $95 billion. If you factor in the broader economic impact, oil prices, supply chain disruptions, market volatility, that number jumps to as high as $210 billion. Here's the compounding math that should make everyone uncomfortable. At $1.43 billion a day, every week of delay costs $10 billion. Every month costs $43 billion. At 60 days, $86 billion, equivalent to what America spent annually in Afghanistan at the peak of that war. At 6 months, the timeline that Iran's Revolutionary Guard says it can sustain, the total hits $259 billion. And if the conflict runs through September, $306 billion. And remember, oil prices have already surged more than 25% in a single session. $3.5 trillion was wiped from global financial markets in just 1 week. That's not a military number. That's money coming out of your retirement account, your pension fund, your 401k. So here's where we stand. America is spending money at a pace never seen in modern military history. The weapon stockpiles are being depleted faster than they can be replaced. Congress has been handed a bill it never approved, and nobody, not Trump, not Hegseth, not the Pentagon, is giving a straight answer on how long this lasts or what victory actually looks like. The official White House timeline was 4 to 6 weeks. Hegseth then said 8 weeks. Iran's IRGC says they can fight for 6 months. Only one of those timelines leads to a manageable bill. The other two lead somewhere nobody wants to go. If you found this breakdown useful, share it, because this is the conversation that isn't happening loudly enough. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.